Hi everyone, this is Lucas Ridley with digitalcreatorschool.com, and this is a playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2, which I worked on for about a year at Naughty Dog as an interactive cinematic animator. I also worked on a bunch of different types of animations, which I'm going to release my reel on here in a little bit, but this is a playthrough, and I thought it'd be interesting to give my commentary on my behind-the-scenes knowledge of the game, how it was made, and the things I contributed to it, and how I made those things. So if you're interested in working in games and film, which I've also worked on, I have a course about Maya, which is what I use at every studio I've ever worked at, including Naughty Dog. So go check that out at digitalcreatorschool.com. If you become a member, you get access to all 60 plus hours of courses I've created and that I continue to create even to this day. So enjoy that, subscribe, like, because I will be continuing to put out new playthrough videos as I work through the game, and of course new tutorials and whatnot. And I just passed 1,000 subscribers recently, so join the rest of the 1,000 people following on YouTube. I will see you in the video. Thanks for watching.
So in this, I'm going to be talking about the game. I worked on it for about a year. I no longer work at Naughty Dog. My fiance is behind me getting wine out of the refrigerator. No, say hello. No, they can't see you. Let's see how to do this.
Text.
So this game is actually one of the most accessible games, meaning people with vision impairment,
enables narration,
deafness, blindness, all the above. This is one of the most accessible games ever made. There are some really cool reviews of people with those disabilities online reviewing it, and I encourage you to go check that out because it goes to show how much work went into the game on every level. So, oh boy. Come here.
For the hefty glass if he needs them.
Okay. Yo. I worked on a scene with a boat. This looks familiar. What's surreal about this is I haven't played the game in almost a year. And when I played it, it wasn't done. Let's just jump right in. Mess around. Moderate. Whatever this means. All the notes. Okay. Yeah. Let's do this. It's Pride Month. I'm wearing my Disney Pride shirt because I worked at a Disney company before Naughty Dog. I worked at Industrial Light and Magic. I think this is the loading screen, huh? Yeah. So at work we had dev kits to work on, and we didn't have these like polished things to look at when we were loading up levels and stuff. It was a bunch of gibberish code to me. And there was super deep menus on like spawn machete and make me invincible and have them always attack me with a certain melee or whatever. The menus were super deep, so I haven't been restricted playing this game since I've been working on it. So I feel like I'm going to get a little frustrated that I can't pause the game or rewind a cinematic or something.
I don't know how that would happen. I'm supposed to take to the fireflies and walk away. You go halfway across the country. She needed her immunity to mean something. Maybe I was starting to like it now. Cute business. Maybe I just want to do right by her.
It's So ideally, he would have a little more compression on his left hand, screen right hand.
He found the firefighter. Kill her. They were actually going to make a cure.
How much does he push it? He should squeeze. There he goes a little bit. The twist is nice on the left hand as he pushes.
Doctor! What are you doing? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save.
So this is from the first game. Pretty sure they redid all this.
Jesus Christ, Joe.
But what's crazy is you have all the old mocap. So they could still have the mocap from that session and just put the new models in. Of course, the facial animation would be different. Because the rigs wouldn't be the same for the face, but
I got you.
Cover the exit. Don't let him get away.
so it's a pretty solid recap from the first game, I feel like. It's not like hitting me in the head with it. A little flashback. He's talking to himself or talking to Tommy.
That's a lot. Where's the other hell? I told him he was ready for the test. I told him. I'm here to do nothing. And she believed you.
Just hit our dog with the remote.
We should have that.
Yeah, look at that guitar. They had a really confusing constraint system on the hands. If you ever wanted to hold anything, it was a major pain in the butt. Because there were like the joints that would get exported to game, and then the joints that worked in Maya, and they had a tool that you had to connect those two, and you had to do it a certain way. Oh god. See, it's stuff like this, just even right now, like, how's he going to get out? He's going to hit his head. Like, these are the first things I look at when I'm like, you're giving a shot like this, you're like, but... So what they do is they do a systemic thing. So they put like a little border, like an invisible volume around, and then you have an additive animation that he'll start to duck, like before he gets to the door, and we'll do like an additive animation on top of normal mocap. So you're not doing like a total bespoke thing, it's just additive on top of what's already there. So these are, I worked with Kurt mostly on the animations that I did of the two game directors. They were in all the meetings though, both of them, with Neil, any meeting that I was in. This is... So I did, out of a year working there, I would say almost half of my time was working on the horse. I spent hours just doing this. Like, look, I'm trying to find intersections. Like, is his hand gonna? If I go back the other way hard. So the other thing that's interesting. This game's gonna take forever to play if I'm talking through it. But like, we looked at a lot of Red Dead Redemption. See, look at the environmental. He held up his hand, for the sunlight coming through. Like the interactive stuff like that. Jeremy, Almadina, Eric. So Eric led the San Diego Sony team on the cinematics. Almadina and Jeremy were our supervisors. We did all the melee, in-game cinematics, gameplay, combat. What was I talking about? The horse. Oh god. Mikal was the
Making me dizzy.
yeah, tell me about it. Oh, the responsiveness. So we played a lot of Red Dead, or I played a lot of Red Dead at home because they had a nice horse animation. So you have to think about the mechanics of this. You're controlling the human who's controlling the horse. So the amount of responsiveness needs to be portrayed in that. Like if I push on the control pad, it should take a second for it to relay into the horse. It shouldn't be as quick as the human responding to my controls. And those things were tested and retested and focus tested dozens of times. Like that, like letting go of that and it was still going in a circle, that kind of delay is like you have to find a sweet spot because otherwise it can be really annoying that you're waiting for something to happen versus it being unrealistic that the horse immediately reacts. Yeah, I hope they put out like when stuff's screwed up, because like half the time you get like stuck on a log or like the legs would freak out. Or one thing I didn't appreciate when I started working at a game company is how much of the job was debugging. I worked a lot with Ashley on the horse stuff as well. A lot of back and forth on like what's a typical horse pose if they're resting, or you know what are the different kind of saddles that are used and what would be appropriate for them. What's an idle for the horse look like, and we'd look at reference over and over and reference these in our emails and trying to justify decisions on animation. Everything had to be referring back to real world reference. Otherwise it'd be questioned like, why did you do something this way? Oop, I can walk right through that guy. All right, so now in-game cinematic took over. I can't control the camera. I was the first person in the game to do that maneuver, not in this scene.
You sure?
It was months and months into the game that no one had ever even taken the reins all over the horse's head. And I had to work with the coder to actually do that because no one knew how to do it. Or we were just making it up as we went.
Can't say it's done different. I'll take it to the grave if I have to.
Wait, can I play? That was a really long pause. But the horses have a collision object over their head because you think if you're riding, you don't want the reins to accidentally go over the head in some awkward way. So there was a collision object for the head, so the reins could never go over them. But when you're dismounting, you want to disable it. So we had to, and you only want to do that on a certain frame. So everything had to be timed out, and you had to talk to the coder, tell them the frame number you wanted that to change on. So now this is a cinematic. It's not an in-game cinematic or interactive cinematic. Meaning this is Sony San Diego, I think, that did most of these, and Eric oversaw this. He had the lead credit at the beginning.
gave me a heart attack.
I tried knocking
Hey. What's up, Joel?
Really good lip animation, lip sync, and
folks were talking about how impressed they are with you and how well you're helping out.
It's good.
Tommy and I went out riding the other day, and he told me a joke. I thought about you. So, shoes, I forgot. Something about a clock. How do you...
Joel, it's pretty late and I gotta get up in a few hours.
look at the pivoting off of the thumb. Takes some work.
Just give me 1 second.
What's this?
Some folks call this thing here a guitar.
Funny.
There's a little slippage on her hand, on her elbow. It wasn't really stuck very well.
Okay.
You can see it sliding a little too much.
Promise me that you won't laugh. Trust in me.
Oh gosh, yeah. So a guy named Jonathan Cooper did a lot of the guitar stuff, all the hand animation. He no longer works at Naughty Dog, but you can find him on Twitter as Game Anim. He wrote a book about game animation. It's a really cool mechanic. I don't know if you can see. Basically love the center pad out. I think it's like a Simon Says things. I never played this while I worked there. So this is all Jonathan Cooper animation, to my knowledge. The hair is really good, especially when you consider the depth of field. Usually you have a lot of really bad artifacts around hair, and the depth of field, that is. Like you'll get like areas that aren't blurred correctly.
All the stolen missing parts, I've no need for it anymore. Inside me, I believe I can see.
A guy named Keith did a lot of the face, kind of base posing to use as reference. So he did a lot of exploratory expressions to define what's on model that facial animators used.
Oh, that sucks.
I'll take what I can get.
I mean, it's a freaking movie.
Oh.
It's just crazy. This is
I don't know the first thing about this.
I teach you how to play.
Is it just, I think that he looks a lot better than her.
Well, I think he just has a lot more going on, so he has a lot more noise.
Much more realistic than she was.
Well, because there's just a lot more variation. She's very
Kind of her hair as a girl.
It's not doing it for you
There's some unnatural.
because of how it's laying on her
Natural
head.
movements and lack of movement where there should be.
Do you remember the joke?
So it's in the motion, not in the design of it. You're saying?
I think so. It's kind of hard because I haven't
What
seen
is
it
the
with the
downside
photos.
of eating the clock? It's time consuming.
That's so dumb.
If you look at her elbow, there's a little jitter, like it doesn't feel planted on the guitar.
Good night, kid.
Stuff like that, where you like, it would take like another day or two to like lock that stuff down, and you run out of time or something. Anytime I call that stuff out, it's not because I think they're not doing a good job, because some of these might be mine. Not I didn't work on these cinematics, but like just in general for animation, it's not a critique of like their skill. It's probably more a critique of the schedule or the notes they're getting or all these other things you don't know about. Yeah, there's a lot of like things that could do like an ambient occlusion pass on where
Hey,
Morning.
sorry, I totally overslept. Just give me a minute and I'll get dressed.
I heard you had quite a night after I left.
She kissed me. It was just Dina being Dina. She didn't mean anything by it.
I was talking about your fight with Seth. Wait,
Ooh.
you kissed Dina?
Oh. I thought this
We're broken up 1 week and you make a move on my girl?
She's probably just trying to make you jealous. I would never.
the breath is really nice. Like it's in time with their actual dialogue.
I'm messing with you, man. I don't care. Get dressed.
You're the worst.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
Stuck together while we late.
It's all fine.
I don't know.
Make your bed.
So tired.
You have to get your stuff together.
You intentionally hide the backpack behind her body so you don't have to deal with seeing a lot of that deformation. All this backpack stuff is such a pain in the butt. Like you have meetings and meetings about this stuff and back and forth and with riggers, and it's like little stuff like that I don't think people probably appreciate until they're like, all right, you deal with the backpack now.
Hey, is Joel up?
That was really nice. Like the little, she didn't get it the first try. Like she had to wiggle it and stuff like that.
It sucks. Stop.
Better
Just
now.
about to get up.
It's more realistic.
I was.
You got everything?
Yes.
So they implemented a system where, like the NPC or the non-playable character will and should egg you on if you don't go. And so that kind of stuff you don't really think about until you're actually making a game. You have to account for every possible scenario and to help the game continue. So he should turn. Yeah, he turns towards the player. You should wave or something or say, "Come on, let's go." But the cold stuff, there's a lot of context-based additive animation talked about towards the end, but I left before it was implemented, so it's interesting to see it in now. I'm surprised he hasn't.
Taco Town this morning.
Yeah.
What?
Let me see if I got this one. You kissed Dina,
She kissed me.
which triggered Seth to call you a not so nice word.
Yep.
Then Joel decked it,
More of a push.
and then you got mad at Joel. That part confused me.
It was a strange night, man.
His fear is slipping really bad.
What's ice?
Maria wants to work.
No, it's not because the ice, it's because it's not locked down.
Seth,
But you kind of get away with it on the ice.
just tell her you never saw me.
See that on turns and stuff, you
Where's
know?
your fucking loyalty?
Excuse me.
Look at the snow, though. You can see his footsteps. This is an interactive game cinematic, any kind of button mashing, any kind of opening a door, climbing a rope.
Yeah, of course. Dina and I.
I know. I was just. I want you to think.
Ellie. We're cool. Promise.
One thing I hadn't seen before was in Maya, they had the dynamics of the backpack working. So if you animated something, it would in real time, the backpack would jiggle. And I never got clarity on how they were doing that because it wasn't like most times in Maya, if you have something that's simulated, you have to start from frame one. You can't start playback in the middle of the scene and expect the simulation to work. But I think they were maybe doing it based on like vectors of motion or something in real time. They probably hacked Maya somehow to like fake a simulation because normally in Maya you have to start from frame one. You can pet dogs. Oh, it just slid into place.
Big time.
Well, I mean, oof.
Oof. For real.
Yeah. I mean,
He's having some problems.
that's one of those things that you gotta pick your battles. Like, let's see if I can get in his way. Maybe not. But like scenes like this, there was actually I worked on one. See, what did he say? Calling us over. I think I worked on one of these scenes coming up, or I worked on something in this town.
Hey, Jesse.
Oh, hi.
I can't remember because it changed. Some stuff changed so much. Yeah, there should be a bar over here to the right somewhere.
We just used that not the guy that.
That's Jesse. Huh?
Oh.
Yeah, I think this is a bar. I'm pretty sure I previs this. Let's see.
Want to grab some bread?
I think I did. I worked on this. This
Maria.
is the first thing I worked on. Although they flipped the environment around. The bar used to go to the left. This is wild. You should be able to push through people.
There you are.
Yeah. So no, used to you didn't have that push through. We just had started the cinematic from the door open.
How big it is to say. Do it for me. Please.
Seth, come here.
He's gonna talk some shit or apologize.
Look, last night I was drinking too much.
I previs this.
Sure.
I'm trying to say I'm sorry. Maria tells me that you and Dean are headed out. Made you some sandwiches.
Okay.
Steak.
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah. Well, maybe seconds.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
What you got there?
Bacon sandwiches.
Smells good.
They're yours.
You sure?
It's fine.
Let me walk you out.
Yeah.
So the bar used to go the other way, and the cinematic used to start on the door open. And it's crazy how this stuff develops, and to see it finish now. Because when you watch something like this, you think, oh, they had that idea from the very beginning. And in reality, you pre-visit out, they don't even know what the dialogue is yet. And then they figure it out after the fact. Then you got to create idols for 40 people sitting around, and yeah, it's so cool to see this completed. That's like weeks of work, and you watch it in 20
When you
seconds.
go out, I want to straight off the top of
It's
the
like
joint.
really pay attention to
Boys
just
are
go
so
into
Yeah.
Where do I meet?
You go up to the Northwest Lookout. You're scheduled to arrive later today. Watch yourself. There's too many sightings of infected recently.
Of course. I was gonna check out the creek trail. I'll need someone else to cover it.
Ellie, you know the creature.
Little squirrel.
Not really.
Taylor, I think Taylor works on the squirrels,
Bro, it's
I'll have to
great.
do with them too.
right? He works on the rats and the squirrels. Let's see if we can scare it away. Yep.
Touch you for some.
Look at that.
Great.
Look at that. That's a nice little game design spur you over there. But there's so much to like look at. I just want to like look at all these textures. Like, what is this? A community center? Like, all this stuff is intentional and designed and reasoned. And people had meetings to be like, all right, what does the town have? We need a bar. We need a this. We need a that. And it took, you know, a ton of thought went into this, and you just walk right past it.
And all the little decorations.
All the decorations, you make it feel lived in, you make it make sense. Like they need a community center, they need a daycare.
Wagon. Yeah.
You know,
So,
Look, I don't know what's going on with you and Julie.
Maria,
Guy really cares about you. And I'm sure he didn't mean to.
fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to brag. Be safe.
Thanks.
Yo, Dina! Assignment!
Give me a minute.
You get your girlfriend looks stable.
you see Dina for the first time.
Dina, can I talk to you? Hey, guys, tapping out. Come on, how long?
It's too bad we don't get the footprints in the snow there, but we get them in game.
I just want to say sorry for running off last night.
Oh, it's okay. I totally get it. I felt bad.
Why?
Because I started the whole thing, and I shouldn't have kissed you in front of all of those people.
Oh, you were drunk. It's fine.
Well, still, I don't want you to think.
No, I'm not reading into it or anything. Just...
You know what I love about you? How you let me finish my sentences.
All right. Well, we should probably get going.
Ow! What the fuck? I'm not even playing! Is you a chicken?
I hate this kid so much. You want to throw it up? Here.
You asked for it! You better run, you little shit! Oh, shit! Get to cover! Go! Go!
There's a score.
Oh, gotcha! We're on the board, suckers! Oh, I'm coming for you, Tiny. Eat that. Bear! Oh, you like that?
Is this kid gonna throw one at me?
In your face! I beat Rick. Don't tell your mom. We're
Let's see, is her mouth moving when she's saying this stuff?
You better run. You better
Ah.
run. Eat no.
So they usually do like something called, I forget what the program was they have.
Good God, babe, pay attention.
I know. Ooh, headshot. They had a program that could take dialogue
Bear. Eat it, shrimps.
and automate the lip sync, but
Get her.
It was only good for like if the camera was really
Never
far
get away
away.
with this. Get off of her, you monsters!
All right, we actually have some work to do. Scram. I guess I asked for that, huh? Yep. Let's go. So, Jesse wants us to do the creek trails. He's gonna relieve Joel and Tommy. Oh, that's nice you assigned us together. You're gonna like this group.
Morning, girls.
Morning.
Oh, wait, I worked on this. We can cut one of these horses, I think.
Hey, ladies. I'll bring him in.
Thank you.
No? Or we're about to. What are we doing?
We gotta get horses, I think, right?
Oh, is it?
Mission.
I think there was one. Maybe there's another part of the game. Because like when you work on something like this, like you don't have the barns, you don't have all this stuff. I had a fence, and that was it. So somewhere where there's a fence, I worked on something where you can pet a horse. Yeah, she was coming back for us. Like, what's this guy doing over here? Is he talking to the... Just hanging out? Same thing over and over? Yeah.
Just a placeholder. That's nice.
Look at the deformation on the horse leg. Like, how it can get into that pose and not look terrible.
Yeah, that horse looks super real.
Oh, I did the tail animation.
Yeah.
So the tips are simulated, and I did the root motion. There's 21 tail animations that they systemically code in to go through randomly. So there was like there was like back straight, and then I did diagonal low, diagonal high, like flicking a fly kind of a thing. There's like a small one, and then basically I made several, and then I scaled them to like make large, medium, small of each direction, and then gave it to the people to code, the designers to put in the game. But that was like a day's worth of work almost, just horsetails. And I looked up reference for it. Like that was just me making stuff up, like how horses move their tail.
That's excellent. Good to see you.
Oh God. Again with the reins. The reins were such a pain. And like switching hands, like he handed it to her, then she handed it to her. It was like
Look who decided to join us.
Yeah.
One for you. And one for you. Open it up. Settle down, children. All right. You all know the drill. Run your routes, mark your log books, clear any infected you see.
this is
Run
gonna
into
be
anything you can't handle. Come back. Be smart about it. All right. Get going.
This is about. I think this is about to be the one main cinematic I worked on. That was part of the trailer. Yep. We're switching to. So I also prevised this scene, and I'm interested to see how they finished it because it changed while I was prevising it. This is Abby. Huh? So there's this whole, they cut out a whole ton with this chalets and stuff. I can explain here after the cinematics done. It was like, the scope of the game was getting too big and they cut a bunch.
What were you dreaming, John?
Was I talking?
Were you doing your teeth grinding thing?
Where have you been?
I'll show you something.
Grab your beer. I want to show you something. Trust me.
Yeah, cut to garage door. There used to be a whole thing inside that chalet. You got your picture taken with them. Like someone stopped you because they wanted to create a relationship between these two characters. So you used to originally would walk through the chalet, pick up your gear. Someone was sitting on a couch and they had a Polaroid camera, like, hey, stop you guys for a picture. And then there was a guy in the garage fixing the electrical circuit to open the garage door, and he had to interactive with the door to try to help get it open. And they were just like, yeah, let's cut it.
It's too much.
They just cut it. But there's like weeks of work.
Yeah.
The interior of the thing, like what's upstairs? We had to put someone upstairs reading a book.
Yeah, you just read
We
that.
had, what book are they reading? We had to, you know,
You sure you don't want to do this when the sun's out? And it's warmer?
No. Can't wait.
And you don't want to just tell me?
You need to see it.
so this whole section I also worked on every interactive cinematic from here until the next cinematic. So this is
Really
again
wandering around out here
to
by
kind of
yourself.
teach you the locomotion of the game.
Restless.
You
We had
too.
to figure out a way to creatively move you through a
Like the
space
farther south you go, the prettier it's gotten.
and put you in spaces where you need to get through, like
Drive all the way to Mexico?
I've thought about it.
squeeze throughs.
See Manny's hometown?
Yeah, I don't see that living up to his stories.
Ducking.
Yeah, no, probably not.
There was always a bit of critique that this was a bit monotonous and like,
You did all this in the dark?
Yes. Now, come on.
but hopefully the dialogue helps keep your attention and kind of drive you through the
It's pretty
space.
scenery.
It's pretty scenery, but I mean, in it, you know, there's a sense of complexity here, even though there's only one direction to go. You're kind of given a sense that like maybe I could go around that way, you know. It was really interesting to see this in blocking because you know you didn't have all these fancy textures and all this stuff. You just had
Going
like
like this is
cubes
tired
and-
from today's trip.
triangles and
Not
stuff.
that far.
Hey, is Mel okay? She seemed out of it these past few days.
She'll be fine.
You stop being weird, you're freaking me out.
I'm not being weird.
So there's a section coming up
Careful jumping over this.
that have been discussed cutting, which is a whole nother kind of character beat. I'll be interested to see if they cut it or not.
Breaking up with you, Mel.
What? No. You did.
I've had my fill. Thank you.
Yeah, so we gotta jump over the water, sprint first.
You can't all be as graceful as you.
Clearly.
All right, so this is what
You'll be fine.
It's too high.
Come on.
They left it in. This used to be you were going down so you could see it. I feel like that way was better because you can't tell this is a cliff from this view. Whereas before, when you were walking down a slope, you get to see the whole thing, and you're like, oh, we're coming up on a cliff. Whereas here, it's kind of like, is this scary? I don't know. And she's already scared, but you can't even see what it is yet. So I don't think this works as good. But this is a whole other character beat to like show that she's vulnerable, and to also connect them that he's trying to help her. He's gonna grab her.
Eyes on me. Abby. Stop looking down.
So I worked on all this. Him touching the length of this. This is a lot shorter than what it used to
We
be.
have to go back this way?
The distance that they're
Consider
covering.
it an opportunity to work on your careers.
How about I work my
I feel like they
foot
really
up your
neutered
ass?
that section. They should have just left it the way it was.
Stop flirting.
It was longer. It was scarier. These jumps when you don't have to jump are awkward. So here is the cinematic. So up until this point, then you hand it off for it to be a cinematic.
This it?
We made it.
Holy shit. It's a fucking city.
Yeah.
Have you told anyone else?
Wanted you to see it first. Saw an armed patrol from town to an outpost over there.
There's the light.
A few more outposts in between. They have electricity, guns.
It's a lot of people.
We can figure it out.
Okay. Assuming he's in there, how do we get to it?
We can corner one of the patrols and get confirmation, and then, I don't know, maybe find a way to lure him out.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure they'll be happy to offer that information.
Well, then we make them.
You hear yourself?
Okay, what do you want to do? What is going on with you?
That's perfect.
Oh. Okay.
It's not just that.
Should I say congrats?
Everyone else sees this, they're gonna want to turn back.
We can convince him, right? I fucking knew I couldn't count on you.
I will owe you one. But not anyone else. Hey,
Don't.
See you back in college.
So I worked on this next section as well. All the interactive stuff. We needed a point of no return, so game design wise, you can't go back. So that's why I should have dropped down so far.
Okay. Leave the whole thing.
So one fun thing on the dev kit, like when you're working on scenes like this, is you basically go into God mode and you can like double click. I think it was both joysticks down, and they had like a default pose, and she should go into like a yoga meditation pose, and like so she'd be sitting cross-legged, and then you would like fly around wherever you want to get to, because you wouldn't want to have to like play through this every single time you're working on it to like test it. So you kind of go into that mode a lot, just to travel around and get to this where you want to test the interactive thing that you're doing. So, like, there's stuff I want to say, but I'm going to spoil it before we get there. But I'm not going to say. But that kind of stuff, when they implemented this stuff, everyone was like, at the studio was like, oh, what?
Running into the branches.
We're not just running into the branches, but I think we already knocked it off, but you can knock the snow off. And they implemented that too for railings of like fences and stuff. So because I was like moving around weirdly, we kind of missed that reveal, but that's a dead body right there. So that's why she pulled out her gun. And I worked on, I should get a prompt, yep. And you kill me. So then there's like a meeting about, oops, see, there goes the sun. There's a meeting like, how many do we need? Where do we put them?
So there was some sort of a massacre.
Some bad situation happened here, right? Oh, they took away the. Yeah, there used to be more. You could interact with more of these. I guess they just one and done. So I worked on this. So this was a major headache. You can stop. Now we need an idle for her in the squeeze through. Right? Like little stuff like that.
How'd you know to go in there?
Boo! And so this is a button mash. This is another interactive thing I worked on. Oh, wait, what are the mechanics? You're holding trunk. So... Booyah! I worked on this one too. The camera used to be on the other side. Holding it? Oh, I'm dead, yo. And I worked on this shit. I was pressing it. I was pressing it. I mean, tapping
I
it.
said hold.
But so this was a whole thing, staging this right so that you would get startled. And there was a question of the logic here, right? Like, we just saw all these frozen bodies. How's this guy alive? Like, this don't make no sense. So we talked about, like, well, let's have him half out, like, so it doesn't look as bad. But then, well, if he's half out, you can kind of see him, and then that spoils the surprise. You don't see him at all. It's like, how's this guy the one that's alive? So so this was super fun, doing this camera, animating the camera, and you also needed like a point of no return. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this is another tutorialization of gameplay that is important for the game, but like, okay, so what used to happen is he used to get stuck in this tree and he was impaled on a limb, and then you had to shoot him in the head. But the discussion at the time was she's trying to be quiet. and we don't have to shoot or gun, and you haven't learned how to melee and do all that stuff yet, and dodge, which
So
was
it's a good opportunity.
yeah, which will be interesting to see how this next section goes.
Oh shit.
Interesting. Okay. So this is all different. Like there used to not be a cliff here. Like
Playing like
block.
a newbie.
Well now I'm playing like someone who doesn't know this game, which is where am I supposed to go? I think I'm probably supposed to dodge.
That's why they taught you that. Oh yeah, because you shot, so now you woke up.
Well, I don't know what's called a shot, but the whole I'm dodging, yo. Oh man, I'm bad. There we go.
No, I think because you were supposed to do that with the
Look at the
first
blood
one,
though,
and then you
and it's
shot.
melting the snow.
Yeah, it looks good. I think because you shot, you brought more.
Probably.
You know, like.
Yeah, but now I'm just
they
going.
showed you how to do it without it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going based off of my knowledge of what this used to be like, because there was always going to be more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there were always more that you were going to fight, but it was inside of a house, which is why I'm wondering. Yeah, here comes the house, and it was more dilapidated than this, and you would crawl. Yeah. So you used to shoot, and you jump in, and then this is where you learned how to melee. As you jumped in, it was another kind of scary attack moment, and I guess they got rid of that too.
This house looks really cool.
All right, so I think I am going to have to crawl. That's going to be the same, but I want to look around just to see. Yeah. So I might have spoiled the surprise here. Oh, they flipped everything. It used to go to the left.
You said that before the other thing, too.
I wonder if they intentionally did a one-shot kill on that, because that wasn't a headshot. And he rolls out of the way conveniently.
Where's that lookout?
Where's the what? Can I jump back in?
Where were you back then?
Maybe there's resources in here. Oh, see? Give me that med kit, yo.
Cute person.
Huh?
Cute person.
Oh, was there? Okay. How's the TV intact? I feel like that should be smashed. Everything else is like super dilapidated, but like the TV looks fine. Ooh, look at the snow on the lens of the camera. It's a little wonky, I feel like.
What, the sound ones?
Yeah, because it's just a texture. Let's see if we can get it again.
I saw it.
I want to see how it fades. It doesn't like melt, it just kind of like fades. You know what I mean? Whereas if this was real, it would turn into water.
Yeah, I don't know how, like,
It'd mess up the what?
the view even more. Like,
well, it could run down and get out of the way. That's so awkward of a jump. Like if you don't need to jump. It's, look, I can knock the snow off the rail. Can I go in it? I haven't played this part of the game before. I don't think I can. It's all boarded up. Oh, I need to turn off my light. Turn off the light! Wrong one. Stay crouched, sneak up on enemies or press. Oh, even at full stick on R1, you can only go slow. Ooh, see how she grabbed the side? You get close to the... She like reached out to the... I love that stuff.
Two.
Stop moving away. Come back. I feel like they should have more than one stealth kill like that. It was the same thing as the last time. Snap. Boom! Pop! Bang! Mike Tyson punch out. Ooh, dodge. Punch. Ooh! Finishing
Get those
move.
bullets.
That's how you do it.
What's on the wall? Like all this stuff. Put a slide on the wall. We need some more stuff in here. Like there were reviews with Neil. A lot of them I wasn't in because I'm not a design guy. I'm not an environment guy. But like those are the notes they'd get. They'd go through. They'd play through a whole level and be like, "There's not enough stuff in here. There's too much stuff. It's too busy. I need light. I need to, you know." Just like the amount of work that went into this stuff. You can't fully appreciate until you work on something like this for a year or more. Like just playing a game for 30 hours doesn't even come close to understanding what goes into it. Oh shit. I never liked this section.
Shit.
Well, like, this is the section I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think this is different. I like how the prompt doesn't come up. If you hit the button quick enough, it doesn't like take you out of the cinematic with the prompt. feel like I need to increase the sensitivity on the controller. One thing that was crazy is like I'm dodging, man. That's the only button I'm pressing is the dodge button. Ooh. What was I talking about?
Where's the road?
Oh, I could have crawled under here. I could have just pieced out and not shot and not killed those people.
Yeah, but you need to some practice.
What was I talking about?
Just like the section.
No, what was the, like working at Naughty Dog, just hearing the sound, like, then being, like, all that stuff. Like, you'd be in the middle of, like, super focused work, and then you hear, like, blood-curdling screams like someone's getting murdered.
More stress. Where's the patrol?
That was the girls, wasn't it?
I did this! I worked on this. Watch the left. Watch the ice on the left. Watch him punch through. Right here. Pop, pop. Right there. There.
Nice.
Look at all that. Look at how the intersections. Nothing's intersecting. Look at her hips moving in time with the horse. Look at her look. Good timing. Makes you look to the right. The camera slowly moves. She comes
This
in.
way.
She moves her head.
Right behind you.
She gets settled. There's a little pop on the reins there. I did all this, baby. This was like my money shot. This was like the main thing. It's over.
No.
I want to see it again.
Rewind.
I want to see it again. Man. How can I pause? Can I save? Restart checkpoint. I just want to save, new manual save, and then I can restart the checkpoint maybe? Later. But like, the fact that camera did not jerk from that cinematic to gameplay, she didn't pop, like, this riverbed is super uneven. And it took forever to, like, I would copy the pose from game into the cinematic, and it was an exact one-to-one match, so there would be no popping on both of them. But like, this took forever.
with him?
Jesse?
This is one of those scenes where I would like, okay, see, there's another little secret here. Dina just came out from where? Where did Dina come from? She came out from right there. I rammed her through the snow. If you were able to look right, you would see her just emerging out of the slope right there. And this went through a lot of iterations. Several of the animators had this scene. Because, like, where did we come from? They used to start, they used to be in the, starting to snow, and then they would end, and the camera was right here. And so I was handed this and basically like, make this better. And my whole point was we need a foreground, midground, and background. The reason this is boring is looking at this is it's just like super flat. We're also not being told where we need to go. And I'm like, this is super cool. We have the water right here. Let's make them go through there, and we end up kind of angled, pointed at seeing where we're going to be going. And so we have the foreground, which is the player, the midground, which is the stuff on the left, and then we have the background telling us where to go. And those were all the decisions. And you have to kind of like make a pitch for that. Like, hey, I think this is a good idea. You told me to take this on. This is what I think. Here's a pass at it. I'd have to like actually go through and animate it, and then show it to the animation supervisor. Then Neil would look at it, and the game designers would look at it. And that's weeks and weeks of work, and it's done.
Been together for so long.
It just hurts to watch because it's like a year of my life.
Well, it's done for you in this moment, but it's going to happen again and again, over and over again.
Yeah, it makes me.
Hey, how come we never talked about this stuff?
So the next two cinematics also worked on.
You
I don't want to spoil
never
it.
really talked to me about Cat.
It's not really a spoiler, but it's just
There isn't much to talk
it's the
about.
horse stuff. Once I started getting the horse animation, I got
the impression that
more
you really liked
cinematics of the horses because I was already familiar with where the idol's located in the library. How do I connect them? How do you get the stirrups to connect to the foot? Like, how do you get the reins connect to the hands? How do the collisions work with the head with the reins? How do you get the reins off the horse head? And like,
Interesting.
it was like me and Laura and McCall were the only three people at Naughty Dog, a company of 250 people who knew how to do this stuff. And like, that's why when I left, I handed off. I made like a little note pad of like to a newer animator who came from Weta to try to describe to him, this is how all this works. So I got her in the barn. her in there to dismount. Put that up, and then waiting. She's gonna be petting all this stuff because there was all this stuff like, well, what if you get there before her? So we had to get that horse to go in fast enough that there's no version where you could ride in before her, because then where does she go? Because you got to be on the left side. So there's another additive animation for her to duck her head here, and then she's gonna take a 90-degree left. Camera's taken over. I don't have to control the camera. That's me animating it. This dismount, the leg coming up the stirrup is hard because it's very high for her height.
You're gonna point in your face, aren't you?
Nothing is that spectacular.
Ooh, did you see the stirrup morphed? It lurked back to the default pose of the idol. That should not have done that. So this was the other thing. This bar, it didn't go over the thing. This is supposed to go over the thing. It's to the right of it. There it goes. The collision's supposed to be higher. The collision on the pipe should be higher so that it can't go over it like that. This was a major pain in the ass thing. One of the notes was the horses look like they're mannequins, and we had to create kind of like a bespoke idol because their normal idol, they move too much and they would run into the wall and stuff in their normal idol. So we had to take the idol, lock the feet down, because there's also, when you come back and get on the horse, you don't initiate the mounting of the horse in the middle of an idle and then their foot pops down. Ooh, their tails was in sync for a second. That was no good either. But those are all my horse tail flips. But see, we had to add these little, but their feet always go back to the same spot. Because the note was like they look like they're mannequins, and we kept getting that. It's like that, and watch the right foot would go back to where it was before. So we couldn't have the typical idle of them moving around.
Hey, this way.
Darren worked on this. He no longer works at Naughty Dog either, but he sat right next to me. Good job, Darren.
What do you think of this view? It's pretty nice.
little camera control.
That's your head's
Cut. The idea was we never wanted to cut on the cinematic. We wanted to transition so it goes from gameplay to cinematic with no cuts. So watch this one. No, they cut. See, I think that originally they wanted her to turn, and then they changed it to you stay here as long as you want until you push the control pad, which typically in a game to come out of something like this, they want you in the game idle like immediately, but this was like kind of like a gradual thing. Like you get to initiate going back in the game.
Who do you used to do this route with? Jesse? Eugene. Right. Oh, Eugene. Man, he was
I
fun.
never went in here.
Oh, yeah. Plus, talking about rewiring all the we all do that part of 73. And we all make it to 73.
Slide this over. There was a time where like you were supposed to help her with it, but they were like, just get her to open it, whatever.
Through here.
Yep. No joke. This was the whole thing, climbing ropes. What a headache. I never had to do this. And I'm glad. The horse reins were hard enough. Whoop. Her hand went above where the rope was and didn't transition soon enough to grabbing the ledge.
Sign his head. What was this place? It used to be a radio tower.
Hookah, a bomb.
Hey, I'm gonna guess this bong was your jeans. Hey, do you have any on you, actually?
Oh, I did. Eugene always had some on him.
So the inspects, there was, oh gosh, who did the inspects? Steph, I forget the name of the person who did this woman who did the inspects. That was like a whole thing, like looking at maps, looking at your journal, looking at stuff like that. There's stuff over there. Stuff for the workbench. There's a whole other thing I worked on, and like, I think everyone who animated at Naughty Dog for this game probably worked on the workbench because, for whatever reason, I don't know why they kept going back to it. But it was one of those things where like we shouldn't be spending this much time on it. We did it once; it should be done. But I kept seeing other people working on it, and then you walk by someone else's desk, and then they'd be working on it, and you're like, "Wasn't this done like 6 months ago?" Dina and Eugene. Jesse and Dina. Back up. Oh, I get the right. That prompt is a little awkward. It was like, I feel like they should have had it. I'm like looking up here to read. They should have right next to it too.
Come here. Town up ahead's our last stop. Take a look.
Oh, I'm supposed to do something.
There's the town. With the big tower thing? Yep, that's where the next lookout is. There's a ski lodge. That's the one on Tommy and Joel's route. That's the one.
Ooh, we're going there.
We'll pass that on our way into town. Let's get back to the horses.
Let's get back to the horses.
Question. Were you wearing the same clothes yesterday? They're clean. No judgment. It's patrol, you know. We're here to kill infected, not to look fancy. Still look nice. Thank you.
Alright. So this is the other cinema. This was the view we had to critique whether or not they looked like mannequins, so we had to add enough motion. But you can see they're moving more here than before, because this is the one they based their critiques off of. So these are different idols than what we saw when we were last here. The tails are the same, those are systemic, so they're scripted. But there was this, what was wonky about this? It was like, if you get to a certain point, Dina's going to get on her horse. If I get here, then she's going to keep going. And then I would always come over here to see if she got the reins up. Yeah, and then got on her, got over the horse's head, grabs, everything worked out. And she waits for you. But yeah, there was a debate on like when she should get on the. Yeah, that's the biggest tail. It won't get bigger than that. It's the biggest tail animation. This I forget what I called it. The twirl. I almost don't want to play it because it's like it's going to be over so quick, and I work so long on it. So she's going to grab here. That doesn't move. That took a while. It's got to go over the horn of the saddle. She jumps out. There's no camera jolt. They don't spaz out. There used to be a big light hanging down, and your head would go through it here. They had to take it out. And we're done.
That's beautiful.
I think we should go out like Eugene.
From a stroke?
No, from old age. Like living a long life.
You? No way. Come on. You're way too reckless.
Look who's talking.
The muscle sim is working. It's a little much. Watch the butt. Watch the horse's butt. See it? See it jiggle? It's still jiggling.
Let me guess.
It's a little too much. Look at that. Look how much jiggles in the horse butt.
Did I ruin your punchline?
That's way too much.
No. Maybe.
And it's not even jiggling in the right direction, I don't think. I think it should be jiggling this way, not like in parallel with its spine. That was one thing when they showed it, everyone on the chat or wherever, the email thread, they were like, oh my God, it looks great. And then you don't want to be like, I got notes, I think. But believe it or not, this is toned down. This is even more toned down jiggle than what they originally had, I think. It's just, I feel like probably unless they had it this much, you wouldn't see it at all. It's too much. That's too much. So look at the ice. Look at that. It's a little wonky. Yeah, I feel like that used to look better.
Kind of like that instant break away.
Yeah, maybe I don't have as good a memory, but I thought that. I feel like that used to look better with that one. So this whole section was part of the demo of Press. So this is why a lot of this, I took a lot of the things I worked on in that sequence to completion because
Quiet, but we can if you want. I bet they still got supplies.
they needed to be finished for the demo for the press to review, like a long time ago.
Fuck. Temperature drop.
No. I just didn't know if you wanted it or if it was in your way.
No, that's good. Oh, that was awkward as hell. That's unfortunate. It went that way.
What the fuck? Looks like infected did this. How many do you think it would take to bring down a moose? More than one. Where the hell are they? Let's go find them.
I think Darren worked on this too. I was super spoiled working on this game because you could have infinite ammo, one shot, one kills. They had all these like when you'd play through it, you know, all these nice little things to make it easy to play and like debug and test.
I hear someone inside. How the fuck did they get in there? Oh, pardon me, how did we get in there? I see a bunch of different tracks. What do you think?
Yeah, this is Weston's.
Divide and conquer?
Oh no,
One at a time.
where was this? Oh no, there it is, Weston's. Did we do on this?
Ellie, listen.
I'll have to. Ooh, did you see her arm go through her leg?
That's one.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer, right?
I think it was because I was in crouch mode and I was trying to get back to crouch after the finishing move, and her arm went through her own leg because the knee was bent so much. I need to edit my animation reel together because there were some melees I did when I first got to Naughty Dog, like finishing moves like that, but it wasn't that one. I did one with a bat. Like you take a bat from someone and forget all the ones I did. Nice.
You good?
Sure, some enemies to deal
Yeah. Nice throw, by the way. Makes sense. The way we came in. How'd that letter get in here? Yeah, it's a good question. What's the most infected we've ever taken down on the charge? It's gotta be the one I had with Joel a year or so ago. It was like, a dozen. You? Cleared about 20 months. There was a group passing through. Fuck. Maybe we'll get you a new personal record today. Dina, this way. More runners. Let's keep it quiet. Let's see how it goes.
I think Dina's supposed to kill one of them. Or help the others. The direction that she's coming in is a little awkward. Like her knife is pointed away from his neck, and somehow, like,
Watch it! Watch it!
well, that brick was probably meant to sneak up on people.
Looks like it. We still gotta get the ones in the supermarket. Let's keep circling the building. There's gotta be a way in.
That's cool. Oh, the bottle. I kind of wish you could carry a brick and a bottle, but you can only carry one striking device. One thing that was kind of cool, I guess it was from the last game. Everyone who worked on the last game, they had like a little foam, like stress toy, but it was like one of the bricks from the game.
Coming.
Wait, where'd she go? Ooh, her foot went through her leg. I mean, her hand went through her leg.
There's a hole in the roof over there. Here. Thanks. Look. See? All right. Let's figure out how to get in there. Under here. Ellie, are you clean? Yeah. Just banged up. Please die of old age and not because you get infected. I really don't know.
I don't know if Dina knows.
Cool.
She had a bandage on.
Yeah, I guess they don't know because I mean, like he took her
Yeah,
away from that place.
I think intentionally, right? Like it would probably defeat the purpose of like, keep it quiet to Tommy. What's it say?
Miriam, I'm so sorry you got what I did. I wasn't going to hurt you. I didn't want anything from your store except the drugs. My husband came at me. What choice did I have? My little sister stopped feeling her feet. I needed the insulin. Everyone is hurting this stuff. What chance did I have? I hope you survived. I'm sorry.
Actually, yeah.
Oh wait, I think it's supposed to climb. No, wait, wait. forget what I'm supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
This way. I'm in.
I feel like they shouldn't be yelling that loud.
Me too.
You don't have to say me too. I can literally see you and hear you. What we got here? Demographic.
I don't know. I think there was something blowing in one of the other one of the boxes. Maybe it's the handle. I don't know.
Those are planners.
Not those.
Hmm?
Those boxes over there. I thought I could see another glowy thing, but I think it was just. Oh wait, no. I think it was just the reflection on
It's just
the
like
handles.
Movement thing.
Hey, got some alcohol. A couple of rags. Here, fix yourself up. I see spores in there. Mask's on. Got it. Remember, I don't want to have to shoot you in the face.
Oh, that's so sweet.
All these spores mean they've been here for a while. Keep your eyes peeled for older infected. I don't know. I think we're above it. Let's get to the ground floor.
How am I supposed to know the combo?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
But yeah.
Left the real shit. The combo is the date my good boy got employee of the month.
Okay, so that's gonna be written on the rules.
Look at the picture of the dog.
Maybe he's the good boy.
You get employee of the month.
Maybe. As a joke.
100%. That could totally happen. Okay, employee of the month. Employee of the month. It need to be pretty big on the wall to be visible. Here we go. Here we go. My boy. The dog!
I told you!
Was it July 2013? So it's
07.
07 2013.
I mean, I know what a good boy means.
Ooh, yeah. Give me the goods. Upgrades in the base is in the way. I don't think I have enough pills, do I? I mean, just to do this, like if you did a pre-rendered scene of this stuff, like all the atmosphere, the light effects, the fact that it's real time is crazy. Everything looks super good. Look at the reflections on the coffee thing. Look, you can see her.
Got all kinds of drugs up in
How do I not? Oh, here we go. Should I do what was it? Listen mode, move faster and listen mode. Heck yeah. Let's take some pills. I don't know if we're teaching the kids good life skills that if you take pills, you get skills. Whoa. Switchblade, so you can press triangle.
Here we go. Extra.
Whenever I play this at work, the trouble is they move so sporadically. You kind of run into them by accident sometimes.
These blind motherfuckers make my skin crawl. Let's make sure the rest of the building's cleared out. And then get the fuck out of here. Speaking my language.
How am I not finding stuff on the shelves here?
Ellie, found the door from the knees.
I don't really like the button mechanic. Like, it's not clear that you're supposed to hold it. I guess triangles you hold, and the square is button smash.
I'll make you a present. I'll take a present.
This is our first workbench. No.
Ellie. Here. Makes sense. Careful with that. We're not done.
So many pills.
got some numbers here.
I have to remember with clickers, you cannot melee clickers. Which I always forgot at work. Because some of the... keep hitting square instead of grab, but that still works. Their stealth kill. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this thing. Man, is it still alive? Come on now. What? Oh! No! Ah! You were on fire, though. You were on fire, though. Yeah, okay, so I take that back. The square works. You definitely need to hit triangle first. Let's see if I can craft. I don't wanna. Let's just take it easy for right now because I feel like I'm gonna need a med kit. Do I have a med kit? No. Is it just these three? If you ever go to Naughty Dog, they have a bust of a clicker in the elevator kind of lobby. I think a fan made it. They have a lot of fan artwork and fan-made stuff in the studio. It's really cool. The one thing about the sound design is the way they sound. It's hard to tell that they know you're there or not, because the way that they sound, I guess they're more extreme. But like that sounds like he knows where I'm at, or like he knows I'm in, or she. Yo, I hit triangle though. See that's inconsistent gameplay where like the other one I was in front of it, but I hit triangle and I was able to stealth kill. I don't know. It's a little frustrating. Kind of makes me just want to shoot all these people in the head. Let's try that. Oh, I missed. Oh no. Oh gosh. All right, stealth is the way to go. Let's get a brick. Because the Molotov didn't work. I hit him with the Molotov. He's on fire. Boom. Gotta get that headshot. Who's running? I mean, who's...
Are you still moving? Nope.
You know what? I'm impressed with us. Let's go to the next lookout and take a second break.
Agreed.
Do you see a way out of it?
Here comes a clicker. Ollie, right here. Ah! Okay, we gotta get up there somehow. Ollie, get it. Where is it? Right here. Ollie, go for the jugular. Okay. Oh, it's done. Oh, I think we have to. Do we have to push something? What's the deal? I forget. Or we just go through here. I feel like there was. I'm forgetting something. We gotta get up there somehow. Oh, maybe not. Can we get out this way? I forget what I'm supposed to do. I thought there was.
Come on, Dina. A little help here.
Oh, where's Dina?
Just following you around.
What am I supposed to do? Well. Oh, what's up? I feel like it should be something obvious. Oh, hint.
How do we get out of here?
Oh, the door.
We can go through here.
Who would have thought? I think I'm getting the roof confused with something else. I think it's some. I think we're supposed to go to the roof after this.
Won't budge. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You're just gonna hurl me up through that hole in the roof.
Okay.
Don't climb over it. Stand on the thing. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Cable here. Here we go.
Oh, the old rope throw over.
Get over. Fuck yeah. Okay.
All right, Dina, go first then. Rude.
Here we go.
I feel like we shouldn't have picked the absolute middle of that weakest point there.
Careful when you get up here. It's pretty windy. How far are we from the lookout? Just past the next town. Following you.
Oh yeah, I did the mouse too. I did that. Wait, I need to record this at some point in the future. Did that. Like this one. I don't think I did the. It's only the when you're running. No, I guess that is that one I did.
Hey, how far away are we? Few minutes out.
So they had like a little test level where you could take the horse, and they had like every gradient of a ramp, every stair, every height you could jump off of, jump onto, over, and so you could kind of debug the mechanics and the motion matching system of the horse
We won't make it.
in this level.
Almost there.
So a ton of time I would just like gallop straight and then just watch the animation of the gallop in real time,
Go.
stuff like that.
Dina, how much farther?
Lost Dina.
Dina. Dina. Dina, where are you?
I think it just triggers after a certain amount of time. I can't remember if we have to actually get to a certain place or not.
Dina.
Oh, those are my tries.
Dina. Ellie. Ellie, thank God. Come on, this way. Where are we going? Just trust me. Get inside.
My head got a little close to the.
I'll get the door. You been here? Rode by it. Never came inside. Alright, let's make sure it's clear.
Alright, I feel like this is a good stopping point. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you want to learn how to animate, I have classes online at digitalcreatorschool.com. I'm going to be making more of these as I play the game, and maybe have some color commentary of what I'm seeing animation-wise and my memories of working at Naughty Dog on this game. It's an amazing game so far. It still holds up, even though I've played it a ton for a year. Still enjoying playing it, and still a challenge. Probably even more so because I have like the God mode, which I don't have now. And yeah, so check out digitalcreatorschool.com. I have a whole class in Maya. That's what we use to make the game, basically, is Maya. So if you want to work at a place like Naughty Dog, I recommend you learn how to use Autodesk Maya. So I have like a 25-hour-long class, kind of teaches you everything you need to know. One review I kind of keep getting over and over from all kinds of students is they learn more in that course than they do in their college courses. So it really is like, I made it because there's nothing else like it online, and I wish I had it before I went to film school. So I highly recommend you check that out if you are interested in learning how to do this stuff and work for a company like Naughty Dog and work on a game like The Last of Us Part 2, because you need to learn that stuff or know it to work there. All right. Oh, I guess I need the controller to turn this off. All right. See you next time.